88.1 The Burg, your movie central. Welcome to What to Watch Weekends, everybody. My name is Nathan, the host of What to Watch Weekends. And I'm not going to be the only one on the show tonight, but I will be joined by my co-host, or more so my guests, very shortly. So I might as well get started and then go to break. And when we come back, I will have my guests with me. But welcome to What to Watch Weekends, regardless of whatever happens before or after the break. Tonight's topic on What to Watch Weekends, the movie show that I tend to run alongside What to Watch Wednesdays, my other movie show here on 88.1 The Burg, will be the Jack Ryan movie series. That's right, tonight we're talking about every single Jack Ryan movie specifically. Jack Ryan specifically, and movie specifically. So that I could kind of shift the blame and not really take responsibility for not talking about the Jack Ryan TV show that came out a couple years ago, and also not talk about any general Tom Clancy movies. These are specifically the Jack Ryan movies. If I missed one, it's not my fault. Google lied to me. But what is not going to lie to you is the fact that we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will jump into the first movie in the series, that being The Hunt for Red October. So stick around for that. 88.1 The Burg, your movie central. I nearly said music.
Groovy.
What?
Your groovy
central.
That would work great if I was doing disco movies or something like that.
DJ. Or if you played only Bee Gees music.
No, it's who was the DJ.
If I was the DJ.
Yes.
I mean, I'm technically called a DJ because I'm running the table.
Is the
Well,
disc
didn't you
jockey.
say you've DJ'd before?
I don't think I've ever said that.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, that's
I'm
fine.
forgetting.
It's fake news.
Welcome back. Oh boy. Welcome back to What to Watch Weekends, everybody. My name is Nathan, the host of What to Watch Weekends, and I am joined by my guests for tonight, which have been the guests for the last couple nights.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is giving the funniest smiling expression I think I've seen in a very long time. Which one should we let go first? Should we let you go first or him go first?
No,
Ladies
you're gonna
first.
Let me go. No,
Ladies
I'm
first.
just joking. Anyways, my name is CJ, and I am the host of Vintage Antiques Radio Show, and that is on Mondays from 4 to 5, and then Noah and I host the 5 on Mondays, 5 to 6 as well, and take it away.
Yep. My name is Noah. I work here at News Central doing the news 9 to 10 a.m. Monday, Wednesday, Fridays on those mornings. And then I also do the 5 with CJ, 5 to 6 o'clock on Mondays. And then on Fridays, I've got my own show, Aloha Fridays. Clever enough. 2 to 3 p.m. on Fridays. Surprise.
Surprise.
Friday.
I always thought it was on Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
Aw, no way.
It's actually on Glorp Day. That's the secret
That's
8th day of the week.
No, that's my favorite one. I thought that was the 9th day.
No. It's Glorp Day and then Hooper Day.
Hooper Day, that's the 9th day.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
I remember it now.
That's the secret one. Only if you get the DLC package for $69.99 off
Earth
the
are
EA
y'all
store.
two talking about?
We're talking about the funny garbage that we make up in our heads and then spit outwards.
EA Sports. Anyways.
Yes, indeed. Well, I think I'm glad we got mildly off topic before we got on topic and then got back off topic. Let's get on topic. How's that sound?
Hot topic.
What? Hot topic? How dare you?
2000s grunge core, guys. It's black, purple, and green.
Yay, my favorite. Okay.
Movies.
Movies. We're talking about movies tonight, like we always do. And tonight's movies are from the Jack Ryan series, specifically Jack Ryan movies. Have you guys heard of Jack Ryan?
Heard of, yes, but have only seen the newest installment and pieces of it, and I agree with the comment you made on it, too.
Yeah, we'll get to that way later in the
Yeah,
show.
no, I mean, I've seen James Bond.
Right. Do you know the name Tom Clancy?
Tom Clancy. Oh, yeah. No, like
Yeah.
Rainbow Six Siege.
Yeah. So
Counter-Strike, Global Offensive.
Yeah. How dare you? You know what you did there. So for those of you not familiar, and actually as an introduction for you, Noah, Tom Clancy was a renowned author. He's dead now, unfortunately, but he was a renowned author in the political thriller genre. He wrote big books like The Hunt for Red October, Patriot Games, Clear and Present Danger, The Sum of All Fears. These were like well-known military conspiracy books, basically with extreme detail. Like, the man knew how to describe an Uzi on the written page. It's crazy. And he was kind of into conspiracies and kind of federal investigation stuff. A lot of it was based on the CIA. And his most... while I'm explaining this, Noah has basically just removed the headphone stand. Oopsie daisies. But the main thing is that all the 4 books that I mentioned specifically all have the main character of Jack Ryan. Jack Ryan is basically... If I had to guess, I would say he's Tom Clancy's self-insert, but I wouldn't know for a fact. And he's basically a very analytical CIA analyst, because to be an analyst for the CIA, you need to be analytical. That's how that works.
No.
No, I know. It's a crazy idea.
What kind of a world is this?
I know. It's crazy. But I've only read one of the books, and we'll get to that later, but these are like well-renowned books. So they're at least known from the 80s through the 90s. And because of his like attention to detail, it's what in turn inspired I was about to say movies, but I was trying to say games, because those are the things you would know about. Rainbow Six Siege was kind of, and Splinter Cell and Rogue Squadron, I think, was Tom Clancy. A lot of those are based off of his books or his works, or very directly inspired with it. I think he even worked on things like Rainbow Six when they were like initially coming out. So he's got kind of multiple hats on multiple things.
He's got that repertoire.
Repertoire.
He's got that repertoire.
Yes, but now that we've gotten the introductions out of the way, we can jump into the first movie that we will be talking about tonight, which will be The Hunt for Red October from 1990, available to watch on Max currently. All of these movies are available to watch on Max. It actually makes it super convenient for once, unlike every other movie series ever that are on multiple different streaming services.
Oh, gosh.
All Jack Ryan movies are on HBO Max. Look at that. Convenience for once in my life. But then the TV show is on Amazon.
Womp, womp,
Womp, womp, womp, womp. Okay, so
Did you just say womp, womp?
maybe.
Blasphemy.
I know. So the basic plot line of The Hunt for Red October, we follow Marco Ramius, who is a Soviet submarine captain, played by Sean Connery, the wonderful Sean Connery. And he basically goes on the run from his superiors. You know, the Soviet army, as one does, pretty standard stuff. And by that I mean extremely dangerous. Why would you do something so stupid and reckless? But
Renegade.
what?
He's a renegade.
Yes.
He's
Renegade.
a runner, a track star.
Yep. Anyways. I don't even get it.
No, it's some quote from, I think it's from a song or something.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
But he is running away. He's running away.
Yes,
from
he's running away.
military duties.
He's running away.
Deserter.
He's a deserter, and both the Russian side and the American side. Keep in mind, this is during the Cold War, 1984 more specifically. So pretty close to the end, but pretty high into the Cold War. He's in a Russian submarine, and he's making a beeline for the east coast of America. Now, if you're Russia and America, what do you think he's doing?
He's going to have a nice trip in New York City, see Staten Island, take a look at the World Trade Center, and see all the beautiful buildings in New York. Go to D.C., I mean,
Have
go
a
to the
jolly
Mall
old
of America.
time.
You know what's funny? Obviously, both Russia and America think he's making a beeline for the coast, and he's going to bomb it because he's in a nuclear submarine. But as it turns out, Jack Ryan, the main character of the movie, figures out that he is actually wanting to go for a quick stroll to America. And as a matter of fact, he's attempting to defect. He wants to go to America, and he doesn't want to destroy it. But how does he get his Russian superiors off his back? He has to convince them that he's going to blow up America. Do you see the way that logic kind of works?
See, usually people do that by singing a song, I want to live in America. You guys ever see West Side Story?
I have,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I
That's
forgot.
usually how the
Yep.
transition to the United States happens.
No, but
or-
this is Russian Sean Connery, keep in mind.
Oh, yeah.
So it makes more sense for him to be like, I'm going to blow up America.
Hello, I am Sean Connery. I am going to America and I'm going to blow it to pieces. Little tiny pieces, I blow it up.
Split it into smithereens.
Sean Connery lived long enough to
Blub,
see
blub,
him.
blub. I go submerge in submarine.
Bubbles everywhere.
He lived long enough to become the Bond villain that he always fought.
Yes.
What? Anyways, so Jack Ryan basically figures out that Sean Connery or Marco Ramius is trying to defect, and nobody really believes him. He basically has to run around and tell people, "Hey, he's trying to defect. Can we not blow him up? Can we not do that? Can we please not do that? Pretty please. That would be so great. Pretty please with the cherry on top. Except it's Alec Baldwin, so it's pretty please with the cherry on top."
I love Alec Baldwin.
This is '90s Alec Baldwin too.
So he was young.
Yeah,
Baby.
definitely. He's young and charismatic, which adds to his performance drastically. It's actually really funny. There's a great scene where he mimics Sean Connery, because again, Ramius is trying to defect to America. So eventually, you get into this like state where they're fighting on the same side against someone in the submarine trying to kill them all, and Ramius tells Jack Ryan, "Be careful with the control room. You don't want to hit any of the reactors in the submarine room." And then Alec Baldwin's just crawling along a catwalk, and he's just muttering under his breath, "Don't hit the tubes in here, Ryan. There are things that are fragile. I'm fragile too, Marco."
Could you imagine? He pulls up. It's like, you gotta watch out. That guy's gonna get you. My name is Bond. James Bond.
007. Get
I
it
am
right.
007. I will work submarine. Blub, blub, blub.
The blub 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 is the thing that's getting me right now.
Glub.
It's actually kind of funny. He doesn't do much of a. It's the Sean Connery sounds like he has marbles in his mouth. Part of his accent sort of overshadows the heavy Russian that he's going for, but he does speak Russian at least. So
Oh, that's good.
it does. It definitely he sells it at least a little bit.
Bad, yeah.
Yeah. So we've mentioned how there is Ryan, played by Alec Baldwin. There is Ramius, played by Sean Connery. We've also got the deputy director of the CIA, a.k.a. Jack Ryan's boss, because he works as a CIA analyst.
George H.W. Bush. No, wait, he was FBI.
No, this guy.
Yeah, he
also,
was.
these are like fictional stories, kind of set in the real world, but like sort of based off
So
of
like
real-
Red Alert.
It kind of, yeah. It's the guy's name is James Greer, and he's played by the wonderful, immortal, never-ending James Earl Jones.
Hey, let's go.
I love James Earl Jones.
Smooth as butter.
He will be in the next 3 movies, and then we will get to something that makes me very sad. But
Oh no.
it's very sad. But we will.
Did they Lion King him in the movie too?
Kind of. We'll
Oh
see-
my gosh.
What?
That man's not even a year dead. That poor fella.
That poor fella.
No, I was right. He was the director of the Central Intelligence Agency.
Oh, yeah.
Too early for the story, though.
Yeah. Well.
He was in 1976 to 1977, but
Yeah. Anyways, I think we should let's jump into some quick critical things that I wanted to touch on that I didn't talk about on the Wednesday episode.
Yes.
One of them is that the cinematography and the lighting in this movie specifically is very good. That's going to be a running theme for at least the next 4 movies, which is that the cinematography in the Ryan movies are like. So, how do I describe this? a film teacher of mine has always said functional to kind of describe stuff that's not super high art, but like gets the job done, like it does something interesting or conveys something without like being able to be analyzed to absolute death. I would describe the cinematography in all of the Jack Ryan movies to be functional, but in a way that feels artistic. It's kind of like it works and it's kind of generic looking, but I like the way it looks. And if I wanted to study it to figure out, to kind of like, if I wanted to show this to a beginning filmmaker and go, this is how you should really plan out your shot design and make it look good and make it all work together, these are the movies you watch. So for that reason, I think they have value. And the lighting specifically, when they're on the submarine in Red October, like it looks awesome, especially for 1990. Like it looks great. And there's all the framing choices, like putting Ramius in the center frame, like his top and his chin are cut off. It's really nice. We've also got a lot of rack focus, which is basically, you know how when you turn the camera and you have like, let's say there's a stopwatch on a table that's like blurry and out of focus, and then you got someone sitting in a couch in the background, and then it focuses in on the clock. That's what we've got a lot of in this movie, a lot of rack focuses between faces, which I think is really good because it kind of directs your attention immediately. And it gets the job done really well. I don't know if I'm going too fast and not really explaining this perfectly. Am I doing a good job at this, or?
That's all
I
right.
would say no, that
Just
makes
plug
sense.
away.
I learned all that stuff in freshman year of high school anyhow. You know.
Yeah. Fair enough. So let me think here. What else? Oh, so here's one weird thing about Hunt for Red October. It's mostly set in like a submarine, specifically the Red October. I should have mentioned that he basically is commandeering the Red October submarine, which is where the name comes from.
Is it based off of like a real one, or is it just made up for the movie?
It was from the book Hunt for Red October.
Oh, gotcha.
But I don't think it was a real submarine. Because it has this like proprietary propulsion technology that basically filters in water to make it turn into an underwater stealth jet, basically, and that was fictional. So I think the Red October. Now I remember, it's based off of like a Russian class of submarine. I forget what it's called. I'd have to look it up. But it is like
It's not an actual one.
No, there wasn't one called the Red October with that technology in it specifically. But it is based off of a model of submarine.
Cool.
So, yeah. But with it being set in that submarine, let me ask you, what would you think claustrophobia would be a common occurrence in a submarine movie?
Maybe,
I mean, possibly.
but-
I mean, those things are big, though. I mean,
Yeah,
you've
no.
been on one. We've
yeah.
been on one now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Or wait, was that? No, there was a submarine portion, but we didn't get to
yeah,
that.
no, we did.
But
We
you've
went
been on
on.
a submarine before.
Yeah, I've been on.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
they're not too small.
It depends on the size of the submarine.
Yeah,
It depends
okay.
on what the purpose of the submarine is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because underwater, those exploration submersibles they send scientists into, teeny tiny. But military submarines, those are pretty
Huge.
big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're big enough that they can break through Antarctic ice just by surfacing.
You know what? That's a really good point. And that kind of explains, and it kind of like removes any nitpick I have about it, because it is a military submarine, like a Russian
Yeah.
military submarine.
Yeah, that would make more sense.
That does make sense why it doesn't feel claustrophobic,
Yeah.
and they
They
intentionally
usually
made it that way.
have
Yeah.
crews of at least 40-ish
Yeah,
people.
it's
they
around
they
that.
have to house a lot of people,
Yeah.
and they have a kitchen, and they have all the armories, and yada, yada, yada. So it makes sense that it wouldn't be as tight in as, say, I don't know, the Meg
Right.
from
gosh.
2018, whereas, the big, giant megalodon's got his chompers, and he's...
I've never seen that movie, but I
It's like generic action movie slop.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's serviceable if you need a good popcorn flick, but it's not some high art.
right. Fair enough.
But yeah, no, I was thinking of that too because there's an episode, I don't know if you know the TV show Monk, but
I've heard of it.
Yeah. There's a character who's Marine later in the series. Not much of a spoiler alert. Don't worry, guys. But the scenes and shots of the submarine itself aren't very claustrophobic, aside from when Monk first goes in because the entryway is pretty cramped.
Yeah.
But the entire submarine itself is not nearly as cramped as just that one entryway and a couple like small maintenance areas. And they utilized, I think they said they utilized a real submarine or an exact replica of one as well for the episodes.
Right, and that would make sense. So that does dissuade that minor nitpick just a little bit. But there is a nitpick that I do have that isn't dissuaded, which is I think that this movie has only one real plot hole to it. As I've mentioned, Marco Ramius, Sean Connery, wants to defect to America. He's a Soviet submarine captain. Now, that's not exactly a far-fetched idea because, and I remember reading on a review, they were like, this is so far-fetched. Why would a Soviet defect to America? And I'm like, have you heard of Schindler's List, idiot?
Yeah, no.
Are you serious? If a Nazi can defect, then a Soviet can defect. That's how this works. But I will give them credit that it wasn't exactly given a perfect reason as to why he was defecting. They kind of framed it as he just really liked America and wanted to go there, which not exactly the strongest reason. Now, Jack Ryan figures out that he's trying to defect because on the day of his stealing the Red October and kind of going off the record, it is the 1-year anniversary of his wife's death. And in the movie, they kind of gloss over that whole thing.
They should have made that like the turning point for his decision to move.
Or they should have had him like reminisce about his wife and what happened when she died, or have it be brought up more than once.
Well, yeah, that on top of that, yeah.
Yeah, and I have good news for you.
Yeah.
In the book, I actually looked it up because I was curious. In the book, they go into extreme detail about how his wife actually died.
Oh.
They say that she was having this like really bad disease, or she was injured, one of the two, sent to the hospital and given a complete idiot of a doctor who was drunk off of his mind, did a bunch of liquid oxygen, sat around, waited, and kind of just let the time pass during critical moments where he could have been saving her life, and then botched the job so badly that she ended up dying. This doctor did not get any reprimands because he was the son of a Soviet official.
Typical.
Yeah. And Ramius was not given any reconciliation in court. He wasn't allowed to pray at his wife's wedding. He was not allowed to visit. It was like a whole thing where they basically let his wife die, didn't give the person who did it any like trouble whatsoever, and then was kind of spat in the face after she died.
They need breathalyzers for them doctors.
No kidding. But that was such a good explanation because that was his turning point. That was the thing that radicalized him against the Soviet Union. And to just have a fraction of that be present in the movie, to have, there's that aha moment where Ryan goes, he's defecting. It's the 1-year anniversary of his wife's death. And then he was to just go, she was killed due to incompetence on the Soviet Union's part.
What was the timeline between them first, like, suspecting and then them finding out?
Finding out which thing?
Whether that he had defected.
Originally,
Like, how long did it take?
it took them quite a while because, if anything, they basically didn't fully confirm that he was defecting until they got on board the Red October about 30 minutes from the end. After Ryan had been flown out to the middle of the ocean and picked up by the submarine that was tailing the Red October.
That's not good.
No.
Because if they had them figure it out like midway through, even early on in the film, it could be this cat and mouse just chasing thing, and then have your climax be centered around the loss, and then have whatever the ending is be the ending.
Well, I mean, you are right that the climax could have been centered around the loss a bit, but it is a big cat and mouse because Ryan is basically scrambling to tell people that he's trying to defect, but because of the way information travels in bureaucracy, not everyone gets the message at the same time. So it does still end up being a cat and mouse game, and keep in mind that the Soviet Union eventually figures out that he is trying to defect, and they don't get any orders in, and they do start chasing him.
My question, though, is how engaging is that in terms of, like, the way they approached it? Because if that's the only thing that's working for them, like you said, that's only one thing driving the movie, which doesn't really keep a lot of appeal.
For me, I like having just one thing driving the movie, and I personally found it extremely engaging. Like, because keep in mind, like, Ryan is basically one guy in an army of about over 500 people who all think that this guy is on his way over to bomb America. He has to run around and tell each person in maybe 10 groups of people at a time, hey, he's trying to defect. And he can barely do that because then he's sent on an off-the-record mission. And he has to get flown out to the submarine directly. And keep in mind, this submarine is basically a stealth jet, and the submarine that is tailing them basically has to do an entire audio setup to figure out that there even is a submarine there in the first place. Once they even get there, they then figure out that the crew is partially mutinying, and then later on... Mutineering, yes. And then the Soviet Union even dispatches its own submarines to chase down Ramius. So the last act is actually more focused on them working together because there's a mutineer who's trying to shoot at them inside the submarine and also a submarine on the outside from the Soviet Union trying to bomb them.
Okay. Yeah. And again, I think only having one point, is fine. It depends on how it's approached. I mean, Titanic is I used to be like, oh yeah, Titanic, whatever. But I rewatched it. And I was like, oh no, this is actually a pretty good movie. And it's simple, but it's not simplistic.
Yeah.
And I think that's the best way to define that. And I think that way you're describing that, that makes more sense as to what brings you in, holds you in. All I've seen is the trailer. My question for you, based on the trailer, I got the impression that there may have been some points that were slow in the film. But that's only based on trailer.
Yeah.
So I don't know the actual film itself.
The way I'd say it is it's not slowness, more so lulls in the action, which you kind of need to have.
Yeah.
Unless you're making a crazy action flick, which it's not. It's definitely action, but it's not rip-roaring action. It's not like Fast and Furious.
Or not like 24,
Yeah, it's not
Transformers.
It's
Michael-based Transformers.
Yeah, it's not on the ground all fast and carsy. It's underwater bubbly. So it's gonna glub. It's going to be a bit slower.
I will avenge wife.
What?
And that
I
makes
will
more
avenge
sense.
my wife. Glub, America.
That's ridiculous. Okay. Well, we've talked about The Hunt for Red October for the last 20 minutes.
Woo.
We are going to take a quick break and some ad breaks, and when we come back, we will jump into Patriot games. So stick around for that. 88.1 The Burg, your movie central. Welcome back to What to Watch Weekends, everybody. My name is Nathan, the host of What to Watch Weekends. It is on the weekends, and I am hosting the show. And I'm joined by my guests today, if they'd like to just say their names.
Hi, I'm CJ. I host Vintage Antiques Radio.
Nice. My other guest was standing up.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I'm Noah.
Very nice.
I introduced myself earlier.
Yes, which is why we're not introducing the full shows. We're just going with the names.
Oh, speaking of, actually, I'm going to introduce every show I've ever done. So last week... No.
So we've been talking about The Hunt for Red October during the last break. We've been talking about Jack Ryan movies tonight. And we're going to talk about the next one in the series. Thankfully, we do have to go to break pretty soon here, but... it's a very short review. We're going to talk about Patriot Games from 1992, available to watch on Max. And we have to keep it under 10 minutes so we can go to legal break, which shouldn't be too hard, honestly. It's really easy to do. So, Patriot Games follows Jack Ryan as he goes to London. And while he's in London, he is randomly, or he's more so thrust into a situation where the cousin to the Queen of England is attacked by terrorists. The IRA, more specifically.
Ah.
Yes. And Ryan doesn't like that. So he gets in the way and fights off the terrorists. And actually ends up killing one of them.
Ah.
And the leader of the terrorists,
Uh-oh.
Sean Miller, was like, "That was my brother. I don't like you, Jack Ryan. I'm going to kill you."
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Whoopsies.
Oopsies.
Wah, wah.
Wow. Hang on.
I'm sure that's a hotkey that we have.
Yeah.
We could totally play that sound effect if we could
Yeah.
find it.
Making it with my mouth is a lot funnier because it's a lot more low budget.
Yes.
So this is the only one that I have like a strong personal connection to because I've actually read the book that this movie was based off of.
Ooh.
I've read Patriot Games. It's the first and only Tom Clancy book that I read. And I read it back in middle school. So it was a long time ago. I don't have a perfect memory of it. I do have the memory of sitting in a tent inside my front yard, overheated as all get out, and reading the book. And I do remember how intricately detailed it was. I remember how well Tom Clancy can describe the inner workings of an Uzi pretty well. Like, he's really good at that. But, I mean, I'm not perfect at it. My memory ain't perfect. I can barely remember when I woke up or when I went to sleep. So
About that time.
About what?
Said it was about that time.
Yeah, that time. That one time.
Hammer time. Da, 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 da.
Jeez. What I do remember is that there was the biggest change to my memory that they made from the book to the movie is that the cousin of the Queen of England is not who's being attacked and not the thing that sets it all in motion. Because it's the cousin of the Queen of England in the movie, and that's kind of boring. Like, he has an official title, but who cares? In the book, it was the Prince of Wales.
Oh.
Which is a much bigger deal. And it made a lot more sense why people were like, we're going to cover the news about this. Like, we're going to, like, basically emphasize Jack Ryan in the news now because dude basically got in the way of IRA people trying to kill the Prince of Wales.
Yeah, that's a big oopsie.
Big oopsie daisies. And there is another change, which is between the casting of Jack Ryan. In the last movie, we had Alec Baldwin. For whatever reason, they changed it to Harrison Ford in this movie.
Oh, that's a weird change.
Yeah, because they're very different.
Very different.
Very different ranges. It's not exactly awful fit, but in comparison to Alec Baldwin's charisma, like
That
Harrison
would be
Ford,
such a weird fit. Yeah.
Harrison Ford has charisma, but he doesn't have the type of brand of charisma that Alec Baldwin has.
No, Alec is more fun-loving, and Ford is more straight-laced.
Yeah, exactly. And
That's a good way to put it.
yeah, it kind of conflicts with any sarcasm that Jack Ryan has. It kind of comes across as awkward. I will say, though, they kept James Earl Jones as James Greer the Superior, which means that for once, Darth Vader and Han Solo are on the same side. Yay.
Well, there was that one time in Empire Strikes Back where it's like, hey, I know you're like dating my daughter and all that, so let's have Thanksgiving. And then he shoots him in the hand. You know what? I'll freeze you in carbonite instead.
Awesome.
Ice 'em, boys.
That was not the scene. Okay. Anyways. I will say, not to go from a minor complaint I had that's a little more serious. At some point, they do track down the IRA, and they track them down to a place in Africa, and they start to launch missiles at the camps. And they have this really awkward moment where Jack Ryan's like watching the monitor and watching it blow up, and he's kind of having this like look of sadness on his face that they're like blowing people up. Now, I get what they were trying to do with that scene. They're terrorists, and you're in the room watching the missiles land.
Yeah.
If you want to have sympathy, you could have done it earlier. a little earlier.
Yeah, you need to set that up.
Exactly. It's thrown in for that scene and that scene only.
Oh my gosh, we're killing terrorists. What?
Oppenheimer, the bomb, it kills people.
Oh no!
Oh, no.
That's Oppenheimer right
Yeah,
there.
it's-
The whole movie.
That's just
the
I
bomb.
did bad.
It killed people.
I know.
I
am I
know,
gonna face my
Oppenheimer. That's
wife?
what I tried to tell you. Albert Einstein.
Oh, no. Okay.
I never knew they were alive at the same time, though. I was like,
Oh,
what?
we're getting so off track.
Anyhow, but yeah, no, it's interesting that, it's like, oh no, the poor people I blew up.
Yeah, that was.
And they're
it was
trying to kill the Prince of Wales.
Yeah, it was. I mean, in this case, it was the cousin of the queen, but they're
Yeah, same
terrorists.
difference.
Yeah, it's like why it's also for the only that scene, only that scene. I will say though, it does kind of redeem itself because it has that whole spy trope. You know, the whole thing of zoom in and enhance the image. They do zoom it in, but it gets a lot more pixelated when they do because it's more accurate. And then when he says enhance, all it just does is it puts a little filter over it, and then it just looks a little more blurrier rather than sharp, and that's it. Instead of like actually like getting new quality for the image, it actually just makes it what enhancing would actually look like.
Goodness. 'Cause
Yeah.
I've watched some episodes of, what is it, NCIS and whatnot,
Yeah.
where it's like, enhance, and it goes into somebody's eye, and they look in the reflection of somebody's eyeball. That's the face of the man we're looking for. He's the criminal we're looking for. It's like,
Oh my gosh,
you can't do that. You can't add more pixels to an image that's already been taken.
No.
That's not physically possible.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the fingerprints thing for me, where people are like, oh, a day later, we found the person for the fingerprints. And I'm like, it takes like 2 weeks just to process it. And that's only for people like who are already in the system you can find it for. You can find someone through their license plate faster.
Right. Yeah. It's just nice to see that being a little more accurate.
Yeah.
Not perfect. And it does kind of gain some pixels, but it's not like a crystal clear image. Like you can see it's still very chunky. So I give it props for that. For once, seeing that in a spy movie is very welcome. That's all I really have to say about Patriot Games. The more I think about it, the more I kind of run out of stuff to say. It's just okay. It's definitely not as bad as it will get later on.
Oof.
Oh.
But it does kind of lack the same finesse that Hunt for Red October had, in my opinion, at least. So there's that. Thank you all for listening thus far. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to go for legal. When we come back, we will jump into the next Jack Ryan movie, which will be Clear and Present Danger. So stick around for that. 88.1 The Burg, your movie central. Welcome back to What to Watch Weekends, everybody. My name is Nathan, the host of What to Watch Weekends. And I am joined by a person who keeps changing his face and someone who's standing up. You look like a fish. How dare you? That is ridiculous. What are you doing? Anyways.
That's crazy.
I know. You guys could just say your names again. We've already kind of introduced the show because it was did words.
Ayo, I'm CJ.
Nice.
CJ from GTA. Yo, I'm Noah.
Very nice. Welcome.
No, I'm the Joker.
No,
No.
You want to
welcome.
know how I got these scars?
No, I
No.
don't.
See, my father.
No, I don't really
no.
want to know this story. It's kind of a boring story. You know what else has a boring story?
What?
Our next movie for the night, which will be Clear and Present Danger from 1994, available to watch on Max. So, we've been talking about the Jack Ryan movies, so it only makes sense that this movie also follows Jack Ryan. Because the basic plotline is a friend of the president is murdered by Colombian drug lords. Big oopsie daisies. So, Jack Ryan is made the acting deputy director of the CIA and must now combat the Colombian drug lords.
Like
Big oofles.
Pablo Escobar.
Pablo Escobar-ish, kinda. It's not
Do they have
exactly.
the hippopotamus or no?
No, they do not have the
Bummer.
hippopotamus.
There's like 300 Colombian hippopotamus now because of Pablo. Did you know that?
Okay, we're not getting into that topic.
No, but it's like These guys are crazy.
I don't know. So, in this stage in the game, Jack Ryan is made the acting deputy director because James Greer, the deputy director, his boss, has been diagnosed with cancer.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Wait.
No, he did. I looked it up. He did not die from cancer.
Okay.
He died from something else. Like it wasn't cancer. It was a kind of infection, I believe, or a lung condition, something along those lines.
Okay, I was going to say that would be just...
Yeah, I know. For context, James Greer is again played by the wonderful James Earl Jones, and I had to kind of go through a level of sadness watching that play out in Close and Present Danger, or Clear and Present Danger, because he died so recently, so seeing him die on screen performing was kind of sad. It was kind of like that hard reset button for the movie, because it was kind of like just skirting along, and then that happens, and not only is it kind of tonally different because it's a death sequence where they have like a funeral and everything, but with it being so focused on a real actor, it just kind of hit a bit harder than it would have. And I just felt sad.
Poor Mufasa.
Brother, help me.
You're welcome.
Yes. Noah, you want to hear something real funny? The president in Clear and Present Danger is played by Donald Moffat.
Huh?
Donald Moffat. Donald Moffat was the one guy with the white eyebrows in The Thing from 1982.
No kidding.
Yeah. He's a character from The Thing. And in this movie, Clear and Present Danger, he says at one point, and I quote, "These drugs present a clear and present danger to the United States of America."
See, that's the bit where I think CinemaSins would have come in. Roll credits. Ding.
You know what? You know what that actually means? CinemaSins can go, I don't know, run over a tree stump for all I care. That's a very PG. And so run over a tree stump, because you know what that really means? The guy from The Thing said The Thing in the movie.
No way.
No way.
Is that in
The
my
Thing said
favorite
The
movie?
Thing.
The movie. Is that your favorite movie too? The movie?
Yeah. Which one?
I like Frozen.
I bet your favorite film is Film.
Yes. Tasty. Delicious.
Nom nom.
Nom nom. No, I thought that
¡Qué delicioso!
Yeesh.
Brain cells dying actively here.
They weren't.
Brain rot.
They weren't there to begin with. So how do I describe Clear and Present Danger? Weirdly enough, I think I've coined a brand new term for describing movies. It's a 3-compound word that's got a prefix, a middle, and a suffix. Right? We've got semi-okay-ish. That's how I describe it.
Semi-okay.
Are you whispering the forbidden tomb into my brain right now? Is that what you're doing over there, Noah?
Are you whispering spells?
Yes.
Spells? I'm not a witch. I'm some kind of necromancer. I'm not the winter warlock from Santa Claus is Coming to Town, 1951.
That's a deep cut.
Put one foot in front of the
That is a very
other.
deep cut.
Oh dear. Okay.
Anyhow, we're
to
talking about Jack Ryan.
Yes,
and,
we're
like
talking
the president. And
Yes, semi-okay-ish.
Clear and present danger to the United States of America.
Yes, Clear and Present Danger it's more like kinda clear and more so present because they send like a rogue squadron into Colombia led by Willem Dafoe and just have them start murdering all the Colombian drug lords.
Oh.
And what's so funny?
You're too late, Spider-Man. I've already taken all the Colombian drugs.
Oh, great.
No, Gobby, you can't do that.
Willem Dafoe will never live down his Green Goblin performance.
You said it was 1994 this movie came out?
Yeah.
So that was 8 years before 2002's Spider-Man.
I mean, he was in Platoon back in the 80s, so he had like some name to him, but
Oh, yeah.
he wasn't like,
Well, no, I'm just saying it's less than a decade before he would become Gobby.
yeah. And
Gobby.
yet you're still referencing it when talking about a movie beforehand. I'm saying
Oh, yeah.
he will definitely never live that down.
Oh, no.
Oh, for sure.
Here's one thing I wanted to bring up earlier, but I think I'm bringing it up now because I realized it here when watching this movie. The thing about Harrison Ford being Jack Ryan is Harrison Ford is a good actor, but he's got the talent that I'd like to call consistently constant. The way I would describe Harrison Ford is he either is constantly angry, constantly looking like a lost puppy who's very concerned about everything, or constantly very smirky and cocky.
And always disgruntled.
That's kind of with all of them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yes. Now, when I say consistently constant, it's more so that when he is angry, he's the same brand of angry. When he is cocky, he's the same brand of cocky. When he is sad, he's the same brand of sad.
Yeah.
Like, it's all the same expressions, no matter what age the guy is.
Same character across.
Yeah.
Series.
And for someone like that, it works really good for an action movie. For someone like Jack Ryan, who's an analyst kind of thrust into situations that are out of his control. In Patriot Games, they did kind of an action movie sequence at the end with like a motorboat. And it felt so out of place in comparison to the rest of the movie, even with Jack Ryan doing his whole heroics to save the royal family in the beginning. Because it's Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
You know he's going to win. With Alec Baldwin, there was some tension in the fact that he's not really an action hero. He's definitely more of a desk pencil pusher looking guy.
Yeah.
At least in 90s version. Like, I know these days he looks a bit more tough and gruff. But back then, he's not an action star. So he's got that more analytical looking side to him. And I can appreciate that. Versus Harrison Ford, who's all guns ho, gung blazing.
Kind of like the Tom Cruise effect.
Yeah, basically. You know he's going to win, or if he doesn't, it's basically coming up against like an impossible force anyways.
Yeah.
I like Arnold.
Yeah.
Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, I can never pronounce that name correctly. But semi-okay-ish, it is also worth noting that Clear and Present Danger has this really good scene where they're going in a motorcade down a road with Jack Ryan and his contact in Colombia, and basically people on the rooftops pull out RPGs and start shooting at them. It's a very intense scene that comes out of left field.
Yeah, no kidding.
And it's really cool. I mean, there's a bit of plot armor because Jack Ryan's car doesn't completely blow up immediately when it gets hit by an RPG, but you kind of expect that. And it's a really good sequence because it's tense and claustrophobic, and it's filmed very well because you can see all of the action happening with very little shakiness. You can see all of them pulling up guns and shooting them up at the rooftops. You can see them running away. You can see all the really cool slow motion stuff that they do with it. It feels like interesting and fun to watch, but it also unfortunately kind of trumps every single other action scene that is in the movie. So, oopsie daisies. You made the best part of the movie and it's about halfway through. What do you do now? Well, you kind of skirt for the rest of it. Oopsie daisies, whoopsies, foof.
Oofos.
Foofos.
Yeah.
That is how we're going to end with Clear and Present Danger is foofos. Wonderful.
Get off my plane.
Yeah, that's actually a better ending. But don't get off the plane quite yet, listeners, because when we come back, we will talk about the next Jack Ryan movie, that being The Sum of All Fears. So stick around for that. 88.1 The Burg, your movie central. Welcome back to What to Watch Weekends, everybody. My name is Nathan, the host of What to Watch Weekends. And I'm joined by JC and No.
Cool.
Cool. What? Wait. You're really selling that whole thing, Noah. You just keep doing that. The wah.
I should make a baseball cap or something that just says womp womp.
You could just have
on
the
top
trumpet
of it.
on it, and people would get it. That would make.
Trumpet.
Wait, I don't know I can't count. That's
Trombone.
yes.
Trombone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's trombone.
Well,
You don't know you're counting, did you say?
I can't count instruments. That doesn't make any sense, does it?
No.
Exactly.
Name instruments. Okay.
So
anyways.
tonight we're reviewing the Five Nights at Freddy's 3 movie.
No, 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 no.
And then I died in the fire.
Oh, God.
That sounded awful. Let's move on to something else that's not
Oh, yeah.
related even remotely. Let's continue. Nice. We're going to continue the trend of reviewing Jack Ryan movies, which is going to continue with The Sum of All Fears from 2002, available to watch now on Max. As a sort of prequel to The Hunt for Red October, Patriot Games, Clear and Present Danger, we have a much younger Jack Ryan, who is basically existing in a position at the CIA, still as an analyst, but he's
How
a
is
bit
he younger, though?
he's just a bit newer at the job. He doesn't have the like direct connection to the head of the
prequel.
CIA.
Gotcha.
Like remember, like in Patriot Games, he can talk to the president directly, and then in Clear and Present Danger, he's like replacing the deputy director. In this one, he's just very new to the job.
Gotcha.
And that's all he's really doing. But there is tension between Russia and America.
Shocker.
Yeah, I know. After a nuclear bomb does not detonate in Israel in the 70s, moving later on, we now have America and Russia kind of at this weird standstill. And after a neo-Nazi stages an attack in a Baltimore football game, he frames it on Russia to have them engage in nuclear war with one another. So that's really fun. Oopsie daisies is, again, the common term for what's going on. And
Chop it up to a big whoopsies.
whoopsies. Of course, when the nuke goes off in the Baltimore football game with a bunch of people around it, Jack Ryan needs to figure out where the bomb came from. Because that'd be very helpful to make sure so that we can hold the people responsible. Now, okay, so I've given the basic plotline. Now I'm going to yap. I'm going to rant. I'm going to go off.
Here it comes.
I'm sure you're ready for this.
Uh-oh, he's going to
He's
have
gonna
a BF.
pop off.
What? Oh, I'm going to have a what?
Well,
You got to watch White Chicks
you
to
gotta watch
get
White
it.
Chicks.
I refuse to watch a movie with a title like that.
No,
It's funny.
it's two black guys who go undercover. It's really funny.
Oh boy, okay. You've distracted me. Now I need to rev myself up again to make sure that I'm ready to rant.
He's got it. He's in the ring. He's ready to go.
All
Rear
right.
it up, Nathan.
Okay. Let me ask you guys to... Okay, here, let me... Shut your eyes, both of you. I'm going to ask you to imagine something. That's why I'm asking you to close your eyes. It makes sense, you know? Okay, so I want you to think and imagine a movie, if you will, that... You failed that assignment immediately.
Just imagine a movie.
Imagine a film reel going across the camera.
No wonder, man.
Okay, never mind. I won't do that. I'll just ask you to imagine it with your eyes open.
Okay.
That's a lot easier. I want you to imagine that there's a movie out there that exists that if it was
Movie exists.
great, we're not going to get anywhere with this.
Okay, go on.
Okay. I'm going to drop the imagination. I'm just going to tell you outright. There is a movie that exists about... Dang it! Jeez. I can't. This is so distracting. This is ridiculous.
So there's a movie that exists.
Oh, great.
There's a movie?
The best spy movie of the 21st century exists, but it has been done incorrectly because it has decent to very good acting. It has great cinematography.
Yeah.
The action is extremely tense. The allusions to both past and future conflicts are highlighted directly in the present tense of the movie of the year that it came out. And the soundtrack is made up of beautiful Russian choir singing, which is a repeat from The Hunt for Red October, which was one of the highest strengths of that movie. I'm glad I'm bringing that up now rather than with Hunt for Red October, because with this movie, I noticed it immediately. I loved it. It enhanced almost every scene that it was in, whereas Hunt for Red October kind of carried itself without the Russian choir music. This one kind of needed the enhancement. So I've just described how it has good acting, good cinematography, good action, good illusions, good relevance. Now, this movie, again, could have been the best spy thriller of the 21st century. But the story sucks.
Ouch.
And that is my full description of The Sum of All Fears.
That's a big boo-boo.
That is the sum of all fears right there.
It is.
You got everything there. And then story.
Story. Rather unfortunately.
That sucks,
It's not
though,
even a
that
bad
there could be so much
not even a
build-up.
bad story. It just sounds like it's
It's not, it's, the premise is there, but the execution flops so heavily. I will give it credit, though, for being a movie that had so much potential and squandered all of it. When something like that happens, you want there to at least still be emotional connection there.
Yeah.
And I can fully tell you that I was, like, mad at some points. I was confused for most of it. I was upset. I was heartbroken. Near the end of it, I was kind of on the verge of tears from how beautifully executed some of these scenes were. And just wondering to myself what could have been if the story had been executed with even a little bit more sophistication and finesse. Like, if it had had the level of execution and planning and intent behind it that Hunt for Red October had had, The Sum of All Fears would probably be the best Jack Ryan movie. Full stop. Because Ben Affleck as Jack Ryan is as good of a pick as, like, Alec Baldwin was.
That's a good casting.
It's
yeah.
a really good pick. He's awkward, he's strange, but he's also goofy, charismatic. The only times it doesn't work is when he's with his girlfriend and they're just a little too, like, very have the hots for each other. It's a little too much, but that's a minor thing because he works for the role perfectly. He's that really good, like, balance between knowing what he's doing but also being way out of his depth in every capacity.
They needed Sorkin to write for it then to make it a perfect spy thriller.
Aaron Sorkin, as in the guy
Yeah,
who
he
wrote-
can write funny stuff. If you haven't seen West Wing, then you don't know the capacity of his humor.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
Actually, that would, you know what? I'll agree with you on that.
Yeah.
If it was because he did The West Wing.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
No, not his really serious ones.
No.
No, I'm talking about West Wing type humor.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would work.
Yeah.
That would work because he knows how to do political thrillers.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of the people making these Jack Ryan movies didn't really know how to do it.
It's a hard thing to achieve, though, I will
Yeah.
say. It's not the easiest genre to delve into, and there is a way to do it right
Yeah.
without also being too much. But I think you can't be too worried about offending people either.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's entertainment. These are actors. They are people, and people might believe a different thing than what they're acting.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing with creators. They don't always believe maybe in something that they're creating. They
Yeah.
just believe in the actual content
Yeah.
of the potential of what it can do rather than its actual subject.
That's the problem, I think, with all of these Tom Clancy movies is that people kind of, I'm highly positive that a lot of the people in the film industry got hung up on the fact that Clancy was right-wing, and with there being a lot more left-wing in the film industry, more so from a factual standpoint. We won't dive into that deeply at all. It's more so a factual statement from my experience that there's a lot more left-wing
Yeah,
supporters
no, that is a fact.
in the film industry and that there is right-wing supporters. With that being the thing, I think a lot of them just got hung up on that and wanted to change the perspective to a left-wing perspective and kind of disregard any of the points that Clancy would have made from his right-wing perspective, and it kind of hurts the like contents of the story.
You just can't be biased when you're making something, honestly. When you're going onto a film or a set, you got to care more about the content itself and the quality of it rather than you obviously have to care about what the material is, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. Like, take for example, Gone with the Wind is about the the South, and obviously people don't like the South from that time.
No.
But it's still a good film and really well done.
Oh,
and
I love Gone with the Wind.
Love it. And I think that's a good example of, hey, let's put these emotions aside and just delve into the film.
Yeah. It's really easy to do that with, well, not easy. It's just you're able to do that with Gone with the Wind.
Yeah.
It's a very good character study, and that's a really good example of it.
Yeah.
And that's so strange because the more it doesn't even come down to bias being the problem with The Sum of All Fears. It still comes down to the fact that the way they executed the story was just sloppy. Like, they introduce these scientists working on this nuclear bomb that would then be set off at the football game. And they kind of introduce their compound and Jack Ryan going to visit it. And it's kind of thrown in there with very little ceremony. And the neo-Nazi that's trying to orchestrate all of this, they do a great job of establishing that he's a neo-Nazi. They have him, like, at a press conference talking with a ring. And, well, they have a ring on his desk, or a watch on his desk, that they then do this, like, cinematic fade, like, crossfade to show. And then they, like, move it up a little bit. And I'm so excited about it because it looks so cool. They basically moved the camera upwards to just show a tiny little swastika scratched into the inside of the watch. You don't even need to, like, he doesn't ever come out and say that he is a neo-Nazi. You know for a fact that he's a Nazi with something like that. That's such good cinematic dedication. And the way that he's like, what are the else? Like, his introduction line during that press conference, he said something kind of generic where it's like, not even God can stop us now. But then they play this Russian choir music, which I love Russian choir music. And it just, like, enhances his speech so it feels actually very dark and mysterious and upsetting and scary. And then he disappears from the movie for the next hour. And then he shows up again inadvertently once. And then at the end, he gets killed.
That kind of makes me think of the character Matt in Until Dawn. He's kind of just there in the beginning and then pops up in one other time and does not show up until the end of the game. And it's like, why do we have this character?
I don't even know the plotline. Was Matt, like, important? Was he the instigator to the entire thing?
No. Well, it depends on what route you take. He can instigate a part of the game. And that's important to the story and the emotions of one of the main characters, Emily. But overall, you could have really given or taken him, which is a shame because he's acted by Jordan Fisher, who's a really great actor and really great performer. But I feel like he wasn't really used to his full capacity as a character or even as an actor.
Right. Well, that's an interesting comparison because in this case, this is the guy that is literally pitting the U.S. and Russia against each other with the threat of nuclear war.
So he's a key.
He's a key element.
So that's even worse.
He barely shows up. It's ridiculous. This isn't something that you can take alternate paths around. And it still annoys me because when he gets killed off, it's in a beautiful scene. This is the scene that was on nearing the verge of tears watching it because it's got the Russian choir music. Once again, I love it. Have you seen the ending sequence to The Godfather?
I think so, but it would have been a long time ago.
Fair enough. Noah, do you know the scene I'm talking about?
Yes.
Where Michael kills the heads of the 5 families, and you've got that, like, basically Catholic music playing, with, like the organ and the baby crying and him saying that he renounces his sins, and we've got this great montage of people basically getting brutally murdered. Imagine that on a bit of a smaller scale with just 3 people getting killed off, with a car exploding, one getting choked, and one getting stabbed. Right? And we have that with Russian choir music, and we have the President of the United States and the President of Russia going to a press conference and signing the peace treaty. It's the same feel and style of that ending scene from Godfather, with the added benefit of Russian choir music. And it was so good, but it wasn't deserved. Because the people they're killing were not given any setup in the greater context of the story. They did the important part, but...
Yeah, the payoff wasn't earned.
But it was in place for it to be earned. They just needed to be in 3 more scenes. And I probably would have started crying at how beautiful it all was. Do you realize how mad this makes me?
I
This is
hear it in the tone of your
It's
voice.
frustrating. It could have been so good. It could have worked. It could have worked. And as much as that annoys me, it sure is a lot better than the next movie we'll talk about after the break, which is Jack Ryan, Shadow Recruit.
Uh-oh.
So ladies and gentlemen, stick around for that, which will be the last movie of the night. We'll be back very soon. 88.1 The Burg, your movie central. Welcome back to What to Watch Weekends, everybody. You are giving me the strangest look possible.
Hey, and it's not me this time.
Yeah, that's not a first.
So now we got the worst Jack Ryan movie, even worse than the last one?
Yeah, well, the last one wasn't bad. It just failed at its potential. Like, I maintain that if the story had been cleaned up, it would be awesome, because everything else around it was really good. So, but now we're going to get to a far cry from that level. We're going to get into Jack Ryan, Shadow Recruit from 2014, available to watch now on Max. In an attempt to reboot the series, young Jack Ryan must travel back in time and go back to where it all started. He must go back and re-enlist in the CIA and the face. That's not really the plot, I'm joking. I wish it had been, though, because it's better than the plot that we do get. Because it is actually trying to reboot the series, because it's just a young Jack Ryan is recruited by the CIA after injuring his back while serving with the Marines. Years later, and we're talking at least 2 major time jumps, before and after the opening title sequence, we get him being sent to Moscow to interrogate a Russian leader, to interrogate him about a fraudulent bank account or something.
Interrogate to interrogate.
Yes.
Very professional.
Yeah, I know. I didn't feel like giving it any credit as a plot, so I just lazily wrote interrogate twice. Okay. So if Sum of All Fears was just a waste of potential, this movie's a waste of my time and my energy and my care. I will go on record and say that my attention span is not the greatest. Do you guys have good attention spans?
Depends. There are times my OCD kicks in and my attention is great, and then there are times my ADD kicks in and it's not so great.
Yeah. What about you?
I would say overall,
Yeah, you have a good attention
a
span.
pretty decent attention span.
Only unless you're sleepy. That's
Yeah.
it.
But even then, I can
You can power
stick
through.
to it.
My attention span is dog water, to put it frankly.
Oof.
It's not perfect, but it's at least good enough that if I'm watching a movie I really like, I will want to watch it through the very end. Best example would be Mad Max Fury Road. Like, if you sit me down in front of that movie, I will sit through the entire thing front to back.
Wow.
Yeah, I love that movie. But if I get bored, I get violently bored. And there's very little to get me back on board unless you really pull out all the stops. Like, if you lose my attention, you're not getting it back.
Yeah.
And that is my problem with Jack Ryan's Shadow Recruit. I will admit that my attention span isn't the best, and I have powered through movies that have bored me to absolute death before, and I haven't liked them. Jack Ryan, Shadow Recruit, is one of the few examples of a movie. I've had movies that I've started, and in the first 10 minutes I give up because I'm either bored, I'm not in the mood, or I just don't want to watch a movie like that. I think the other one, or sometimes I've like given up on a movie because I'm tired and I can't watch the entire thing, or sometimes I watch it and I like it but I don't get back to it.
Yeah, I'll fall asleep every now and again. in
Yeah,
a movie.
something like that. I think Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit is one of the rare times where I got a decent chunk of the way through, and I was like, there's how much of this movie left? I'm not doing it. I'm done. I'm bored. I'm turning this off right now. I was getting so bored that I was putting it on the second screen and just writing notes for the show tonight. Because I was like, I can't sit through this. First off, let me say that when you watch somebody get drowned in a sink in a movie, and the only interesting thing is that they accidentally turn on the faucet, that's not really a good sign. Without any context, that feels so weird and psychopathic. But I will tell you that is a scene that happens in the first 50 minutes of Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit. He basically fights somebody and he drowns him. And it would have been a cool action sequence, but it has the same editing as Taken. You guys know Taken?
Yes.
With Liam Neeson?
Oh, yeah.
You know how those movies jump around and are shaky cameras and all that? It's basically that. My favorite. I don't like that.
That's an
hate it.
eyesore.
Yeah, complete eyesore. It's horrible.
Yeah.
One of these bullet points is just stupid F-bomb is what I wrote.
Yeah.
They drop an F-bomb in this PG-13 movie, and it's so stupid and undeserved that it stuck out to me.
Yeah.
That's not a good thing.
Not like in Spider-Man No Way Home. Was it No Way Home, or was it
Who
the
knows?
first one with Tom Holland, where his never mind,
Yeah, never mind.
brain not working.
Brain no go.
I
No
think
go.
that was No Way Home.
It was No Way Home. Okay, cool. Where Aunt May was like, "What the f?" and they cut off.
No. That was Homecoming, I think.
Oh,
it was.
Homecoming.
Oh.
Yeah.
Anyways, when you do an F-bomb in a PG-13 movie, you got to give it emphasis.
Yeah.
They did it better in The Sum of All Fears, honestly.
Yeah.
With it being in Jack Ryan's Shadow Recruit, I was like, this is stupid. It's so early into the movie. You've wasted it. Congratulations.
I mean, if you give it weight early on, it works, but you got to give it weight. That's the thing.
Yeah, and they didn't give it weight.
Ouch.
The color grading of this movie is very saturated. I like saturated stuff if it's a comic book adaptation.
Okay, that works. Or Wes Anderson. I don't mind
Yeah.
Wes Anderson saturation.
Unfortunately, Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit is based off of Tom Clancy, a political thriller author.
I mean, I don't like that all movies practically have a blue filter right now, but for that genre, you want a more bluish hue.
Yeah, and The Sum of All Fears does that really well. Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit just has this hyper saturated thing where every red looks really blood red, and I would give it a pass because I like the way that looks, but it only really works if your story demands it. If there's no substance behind it, what's the point?
I mean, uber brightness works in something like Midsummer, but even that isn't uber saturated.
No, that's like, it's an okay example, but it's not super saturated.
No.
I was going to say, is it more like Battleship from 2014?
That's more Michael Bay. Think
Yeah.
more like Baby Driver saturated.
Oh, I see.
In Baby Driver, it works, but
Oh, Baby Driver works, but for a political thriller?
no,
Ugh.
no, it doesn't work. And the cinematography, in comparison to all the other Jack Ryan movies, is just like even like one shot in Patriot Games still sticks with me, which is when Sean Miller, the head of the IRA, is walking into a courtroom. We get this camera spin around the witness testimony stand, and then it moves up to show him being small and having less power in the scene. That shot sticks out infinitely more to me than any shot I saw in Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit. All of it sucked. Well, not all of it, because I didn't see the entire movie.
But the
And-
portion that you saw.
Yeah, it didn't really suck. It just wasn't as good. It just didn't have the same feel to it. There was only one shot that kind of worked, which is like three people walking towards the camera, one on the left, one on the right, one in the middle. Even then, that kind of just felt flat in comparison to how they managed to do functional but still like meaningful in the other movies.
I think if it were set in like the 60s, maybe the saturation would work because that's kind of just the filter that 60s movies tend to have and that the 60s just had, with the sepia filter and all that.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I can't really see it working.
Yeah.
That'd be cool, a political thriller set in the 60s, though.
Have you seen All the President's Men?
No.
That's literally exactly what you're looking for. It's about the Watergate scandal
Oh, cool.
with Robert Redford and the guy who's in Rain Man alongside Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
There's so many other notes I have about Shadow Recruit, but I think I'll end it with a couple things. Just a couple brief things. First off, they did have a Russian choir singing, and it was in a church, meaning that it was diegetic. I like that. Thumbs up. Why didn't the other movies do that? Why did it have to be in Shadow Recruit? Also, Shadow Recruit is the dumbest name for a movie I've ever heard, especially with Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit. That's a dumb name. I don't like it. I mean, you give me a look like it's not that bad.
I mean, it's not the worst thing I've ever heard.
But it doesn't...
But it's not...
It's not themed well enough, like the
It's
sum
not
of
like
all fears.
kick butt and take names, you know?
Like the Hunt for Red October. You're hunting the Red October submarine. Patriot Games. It's a game against the patriots of the IRA. You've got clear and present danger. There's a clear and present danger to the United States. The sum of all fears. It's the sum of all of our fears. Nuclear war. Jack Ryan, Shadow Recruit. He's being recruited to the CIA.
Better watch out. Solid Snake is after him.
Nice.
Can't even say my name.
Yeah, fair enough.
I mean, a title like Code Blue would be cool if someone like was in
That
a
would be better.
bad,
Yeah.
threatening situation.
Yeah. I have so many more notes about Shadow Recruit, but I didn't watch the entire movie, so I think it's better that I don't go into all of them.
Yeah.
Because I got so bored halfway through.
I mean, might as well just kick it off with one last note.
Yeah. I got so violently bored that I started hitting my chair, and my roommate asked me if I was playing Dota 2, and I was getting really angry. And I was like, no, I'm watching a boring movie. That tends to make me more angry.
Oh no, not poor guy.
Yeah.
Poor funny guy.
Yeah. That's all I got. I should also mention that I talked about Jack Ryan movies on Wednesday, which was the day after Election Day. And we're talking about Jack Ryan movies now, the day before Veterans Day.
Yeah.
Let me emphasize something. This was not an intentional choice on my part. I'm not even joking. That was a pure coincidence.
Next up, Mission Impossible.
That'll be in May.
Next up, Top Gun.
There's only two. I can't do 3 movies.
I
can't
you could
count.
talk about,
Planes.
yeah, you should
Planes and Top Gun. My favorite combination.
Planes, the animated film.
Yes. Okay. Well, on that bombshell, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for listening in to What to Watch Weekends. My name is Nathan, the host of What to Watch Weekends. Excuse me.
Sick.
You two want to give a quick outro?
Ayo, I'm CJ, and I host Vintage Antiques Radio. Listen up from 4 to 5 on Mondays.
Very nice.
And I'm Noah. I'll be on the news tomorrow morning, 9 to 10 a.m. Catch me and Ryan Gildersleeve there. We're going to have a live interview.
And
so,
Charlotte.
she's not coming in the office tomorrow. But
Oh.
at least as far as I remember.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, no.
Well, yeah. Tune into that, ladies and gentlemen, and see ya.
Yeah. Happy Veterans Day.
Happy Veterans Day.
Happy Veterans Day.